Too many of you see two sides, a left, a right, Republicans, Democrats, progressives, conservatives, upper class and lower class, rules for thee and not for me, both will say, the oppressor and the oppressed, some being censored for no apparent reason other than disagreeing with an idea, a philosophy, a position. We have both extremes, the far left and the far right, Antifa, white supremacists, pro-mandates, anti-mandates, a constitutional republic, a multicultural democracy. We have straight-up dogmatism in America. Have you noticed how the media is playing with the Russian-Ukraine war in terms of who's winning? One day, Russia is advancing and will soon win. The next day, Ukraine stands strong and Russian troops are losing their morale. You even have Fox News and CNN pushing opposite stories on the exact same day, sometimes even down to the exact same hour. How much longer will they continue to play these games, and how much longer will some of you out there continue to fall for them? In addition, it's them's this, Republicans that. It's all Putin's fault for the gas hikes and inflation. No, it's all Biden's fault. Maybe it's a little bit of both. Though, I admit, I am one who has put most of the blame on Biden, and I still believe that to be rightfully so. So, let's have a civil debate. Then let's go grab some bourbon, smoke a cigar, and talk about some history. Let's have some fun. We gain respect for one another by taking each other on in civil competition, civil debate. Does anybody else still feel like there's a sense of hope? Because I do, and I know it sounds crazy. I think if we can fix our economy and more people can prosper, we'll be just fine. That's what it's all about, right? We just want to all be healthy and live happy lives. When I'm out and about and I run into people, converse with others, everyone seems decent enough. I've always wondered if the majority of people really do just want the same thing. I want to say yes, we do. I was thinking about last week and how on multiple shows I went off on Democrats. I guess I feel it was me expressing my frustration. The truth is, I feel more frustrated by Democrats than I do Republicans at this present time. I want to say a lot of you feel the same way. I think a lot of you still believe in America as well, as do I. There was once a dream, an American dream. I hate the left and the right, Democrat, Republican. I don't affiliate myself with either party and personally wish we had 5 parties or more. I don't know, but 2 is not enough. It clearly does not represent all of us. I think there's a longingness for togetherness. The two sides lack competition. They say competition brings the best out of us. Remember when anti-vaxxers and BLM protested the vaccine mandates together in New York City? That was still fairly recent. As far away as it can get and feel, it just feels like we're right there at the same time. Right there to come together. And I think our politicians know this and they use this to their advantage. They use this to get more power and money, control, fame, become a part of history. Make America great again. Build back better. It's the same idea. What if, despite all the fighting, our leaders were working both sides with the same message, one of unity and cohesion? The cynical in me thinks that they know exactly what they're doing and they're just playing games. And, it's really just up to us to recognize it. I have noticed this before, but never thought about it so hard like I did this weekend. I listen to a lot of podcasts. Barry Weiss is Honestly, and it's called Honestly. I'm not just saying honestly. Her podcast, Honestly, is one of my favorite, if not my favorite right now. I am a big Joe Rogan fan, and there's a couple other podcasts out there I really like, but Barry's been on fire lately. Her last 2 podcasts were absolutely stellar. She's crushing it. I'm not really sure the rules on things like this. And in fact, Barry Weiss once liked a tweet of mine. It was probably my best Twitter moment ever. I work really hard on mindfulness and not allowing others' thoughts to affect me too much, negatively or positively. But I was thrilled when she liked one of my tweets. I mean, who the fuck am I? Here's a little clip from our show that highlights what I'm saying about our politicians giving us a similar message on both sides and why I think we could be much closer to coming together than it seems. Or maybe not. All the same, this is really interesting. This is a guest Barry had on our show who breaks this down for us. Check this out.
I recommend to folks to read or listen to Joe Biden's inaugural address.
This is America's day. This is democracy's day.
And then read or listen to Donald Trump's inaugural address.
The oath of office I take today is an oath of allegiance to all Americans.
Biden was clearly trying to to mark the differences between him and Trump.
Today, we celebrate the triumph not of a candidate, but of a cause, the cause of democracy.
But thematically, I don't know that there are two inaugurals that are more alike than those two are in American history.
We, the citizens of America, are now joined in a great national effort to rebuild our country and restore its promise for all of our people.
They are both about unity.
With unity, we can do great things, important things. When America is united, America is totally unstoppable.
All about unity. And they both say, when the American people are unified, we never fail.
I know speaking of unity can sound to some like a foolish fantasy these days. I know the forces that divide us are deep and they are real. But I also know they are not new. We share one heart, one home, and one glorious destiny.
And they both stress that. They both made that the core of their message. Because I think that in their kind of fumbling ways, they both recognized that this is a moment where people are looking for ways to hang together. We're not finding them. We're not doing very well at it. And so far, it's only feeding our divisions. But that hunger, that desire is very strong.
Now we're going to be tested. Are we going to step up, all of us? Together, we will determine the course of America and the world for many, many years to come.
I'm sure all the diehard Trump fans and Trump haters are going to love you for pointing that out.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that was Barry Weiss at the end too, if you've never heard her voice before. Absolutely awesome podcast. Once again, excuse me, make sure you go and check that out. Barry Weiss, honestly. So you can see, as divided as some people are, they're falling for the same message. Trump supporters and Biden supporters. Guess what? You're both American. I'm afraid I might be just wishfully thinking, because the games do continue on. And speaking of games, I've mentioned that I'm a big Tulsi Gabbard fan before. Sorry, a little distracted. My dog keeps messing with me right now. I've also said I don't agree with everything she says. Tulsi Gabbard, for some reason, seems to make one of our political parties really scared. They're really afraid of her. And don't forget, she ran for president as a Democrat. But I wouldn't be surprised if she ran as a Republican someday, because of the way the Democrats are treating her. They smear her. Clinton was so threatened by her, she called Tulsi Gabbard a Russian asset. Have you ever noticed whenever somebody gets under Hillary Clinton's skin, she calls them a Russian asset? You know, as neutral as I'm trying to be today, some don't deserve the decency. They just take it to that point, right? Fox News is the only one with a platform that lets Tulsi Gabbard get her voice out there at this point. Recently, she went on Fox and gave her opinions on the war, and she did go into Hillary and Biden, but she said nothing that warrants censorship. For whatever reason, people are so threatened by her. She has to go on Fox, especially, if she ever wants to run for president again. She needs to continue to get her name out there. And it's almost like Democrats are doing everything they can to stop her. I really don't understand it. Tulsi Gabbard is a perfect example of the hypocrisy from the left. And one of the reasons I was digging into them last week and felt so frustrated by them. They play so many games and they lie. And I know Republicans do too, but look, Democrats are better at it, and they're the ones that own the culture. So they deserve more pushback right now, and they're abusing their position in our society. Republicans have little influence, really. Tulsi is a woman of color, a military woman, a congresswoman, a strong woman, fierce debater, courageous, confident, well-spoken. She stands up for herself. She's strong. I'm going to say something kind of crazy, but how are women who fight for women's rights, feminists, and alike? How are you going to support somebody like Hillary Clinton and not Tulsi Gabbard? I really don't know, and I would sincerely love for somebody to explain it to me. I have no doubt one of you out there could, and I have no doubt one of you out there can make a really interesting argument, but I can't think of one, and I have thought about this for quite some time. And I've been objective, and I can't think of a single reason for somebody to support Hillary Clinton over Tulsi Gabbard. if you're listening to a show like this, I'm guessing like me, you don't watch Fox or any of the cable networks. I had to go looking for this clip, and it was banned, and I'm not going to lie, it's not the best quality, so bear with me. And I tend to gravitate towards forbidden fruit for some reason, meaning if a book gets canceled or a political party really dislikes it, I want to read it, and I do. I'll go find it. Whenever Facebook, Twitter, Google, and YouTube censor something, I look it up. So just in case you don't know what I'm talking about, or maybe even don't know much about Tulsi Gabbard, here's what she said on Fox News that is apparently worthy of censorship. Check this out.
To make this situation better has helped to de-escalate the situation, which is why the only conclusion that I can draw about why they have been completely silent and not engaging at all on this window of opportunity that President Zelensky opened last night is that what is happening before our eyes right now is exactly what they want to see continue. Why is that? Because it's good for the military-industrial complex. It makes these politicians look tough, and really, it allows them to have this proxy war with Russia, something that Hillary Clinton laid out just recently. Really what their aims are, this war machine, this power elite in Washington, is they want to turn Ukraine into another Afghanistan, turn into this killing fields where this long-term insurgency is supported, and they bleed out and cripple, kill as many Russians as possible for who knows how long. And they're really showing their real aim in the fact that they're not taking action right now to end this conflict.
Now, it might not surprise you since you just mentioned it, but Hillary Clinton is indeed back on the war wagon. Watch.
If you care about freedom, if you care about democracy, if you care about the rights of individuals, if you care about our future, even though it's a war that is happening far away, it is a war that will affect what kind of world we're going to live in. The Ukrainians are really, and I would argue, fighting for all of us.
Tulsi.
So I'm going to play the rest of that, but real quick. Hillary Clinton said, if you really care about our rights and our future, what does she care about your rights and your future? I guarantee you Hillary Clinton is the last person on this planet that cares about your rights and your future. Politics in the English language, yo. Go check it out. It's just words. Go read this essay by George Orwell. Train your ears. Hillary's just a mix of war, hate, and words. She's as free as it gets in this world, and what does she know of rights in 2022? It just is unbelievable. And she just, I don't know. Let's go back to the clip, and I'm really trying hard to be neutral today and not dig into anybody too much. So try to give me a break. All Hillary cares about is herself. She wants to be the first woman president, and I just think she's one salty mother effer for losing to a guy like Trump. And she just wants war, she just wants power, and she just wants fame. And I just truly believe that's all she cares about. So check the rest of the clip out.
They're fighting for Americans in Ukraine. What? Who's what?
People like Hillary Clinton and Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, they all use this flowery language about how, we've got to take a stand and pay the price. The American people need to pay, so much more for gas, so much more for food, make those decisions between filling their gas tank and buying groceries because freedom? The question that we should all be asking them is, okay, tell us how Russia somehow has the power to take away our freedom of speech here in America. Tell us how Russia has the power to take away the freedom and rights of parents who want to make sure their kids are getting a quality education. Tell us how Russia has the power somehow to take away our right to bear arms, the rights that are enshrined in our Bill of Rights. The answer to these is they don't. They don't have that power.
So there you have it. So let me just say too, the left likes to go at Tulsi Gabbard. They go at Joe Rogan. They go at guys like Tim Pool. And you know what? They're all Democrats. They're just Democrats who won't get in line with the Democratic Party. You see? This is what we're talking about. Those of us who are saying that there's censorship going on. That this is anti-democracy. If you want to go off on Fox, then go for it. But you've got nothing on Tulsi Gabbard. You disagree with her? Fine. I do too sometimes. But censoring her over and over again makes you wonder. And if it doesn't, why? If not, perhaps you should start consciously forcing yourself to critically think because you're not doing it instinctively. Something doesn't smell right. There's a concerted effort to silence her and all those like her who don't like the idea of war and America going to war. And apparently Tim Pool is getting some shit recently for this too. And I admit, I listen to Tim Pool. I just said I do. And I listen to Joe Rogan, so I like all these folks. So a lot of the people I follow are under attack right now for reasons that I sincerely don't understand. They don't make sense to me. Without getting into the Rogan stuff, because I'm not going to do that today, I will say Tim Pool can stretch things just a little. He's trying to build out a show. He's trying to grow into a media outlet, kind of like the Daily Wire. He's trying to build culture and take on entertainment. And I get it. He has a lot to say. And some things from time to time are going to generate some buzz. And that's the idea, right? He needs to generate that buzz from time to time. It helps him. Like last week, he was talking about potassium iodine and how everybody is panic buying and bought it all and you can't find it anywhere. It's all sold out. Well, I went and checked Amazon right away and they had a ton of that shit. They had a ton of potassium iodine. If you're not sure why that's relevant right now, it has something to do with maintaining optimal levels of potassium iodine is important for nuclear strikes. So it has something to do with how the radiation affects our body and having optimal levels of potassium iodine, and that can help prevent mass exposure to the radiation or something like that. Do your own research, look it up. And speaking of, I'm doing my best to be factual on this show and to be honest, but I am a human. I'm going to make mistakes. Thus, I'm going to be wrong from time to time, just like everybody else is, just like you are too. Who are you to be judging people so hard? But, later in the week, last week, Mr. Poole brought it back up, and I actually think he was talking about Europe and not America. So I'm glad I didn't say anything at that time. How often do you hear something, and then further down the road, you learn more about it and realize your initial reaction was way off the mark? Whatever. I mean, Tim Pool is trying to build a show. And personally, I think he's doing a great job. He's talked about how he started a YouTube channel doing a 10-minute show a day, and now he's making 7 figures, yo. I mean, I'm trying to make a little bit doing this. I'm not trying to make this my full-time job, but this would be a nice second income, which I have started generating a little bit of a profit from this. So thank you, by the way. I just want to make enough to live a healthy life, and unfortunately, that's not cheap these days. What I'm saying is, I get why Tim Pool pushes it sometimes. As someone who's several weeks into starting a show, it's a lot, especially with a full-time job. I've spent almost every free minute that I have when I'm not eating, working, and playing with my dog, sleeping, working. I'm working on the Jay Rooney Show. And I pretty much work while I eat too. I don't just do trending topics like the Rooney Bin. If you've noticed, I'm taking on a lot of other topics as well. And it's a lot of work. The Jay Rooney Show channel is ever evolving, learning, growing to achieve my healthiest self and help you along your journey. I enjoy sharing thoughts and opinions. I also enjoy reading yours. I'm an advocate for mental health, fitness, nutrition, mindfulness, history, truth, strength, and honor. Stay on top of new content by subscribing. Not only will you be notified of the latest episodes, you'll always be in the know. It's free, and it really helps me. So please support the Jay Rooney Show and subscribe on Rumble. I'm afraid to ask the question, could things get any worse? 'Cause then watch. So I won't. What I do want to do today is encourage you to embrace being American and embrace your fellow Americans. Be kind, say hi, make eye contact, be helpful and supportive if an opportunity presents itself. Don't react with emotion when facing discomfort. Take a breath and be cordial, be calm, and be patient with people. Practice stoic behaviors. Practice patience. Practice acceptance. Remember what we listened to today, earlier in the show, how similar Trump and Biden's messages are, and how similar you as individuals are. You're all human inside. I think you know when you're playing your political games. No more games. It shouldn't take a war for us to come together. I'm frustrated with current Democratic policy and ideology, no doubt. I hate the labeling, but you know what? I have voted for both parties and independent candidates. I try to make the best decision for myself, my family, and my country, not for a political party. It gets harder every day. And I can tell what's honest and what's not when you're being honest with yourself. So I think that's why we should drop the political labels and just be Americans. Thank you for listening to me ramble today. Thank you for dealing with my dog's interruptions. Now, let's go have an American day. Jay Rooney Show.